Okay, my name is Professor Danture Wickramasinghe. I'm from the University of Glasgow. I work in the Adam Smith Business School in the university, and I'm the Professor of Management Accounting within Accounting and Finance group there. I'm pleased to attend this conference as one of keynote speakers, where I enjoyed the conference a lot about what you do. I can talk some good things as well as bad things about the conference. Shall we start with the good things first? I think you have created a very supportive and hospitable environment for everybody to be pleased with and for everybody to entertain by the conference. I think that is one of important things I have seen here in Indonesia compared to various other European Western conferences. Second thing, coming back to the nature of conference, I think this interdisciplinarity you are bringing into this conference is an important feature. Whereas most European Western conferences are concentrating on one specific stream of discipline, whereas you are actually bringing multidisciplinary perspectives from business to social sciences, from law to cultural studies, from information systems to economics, etc., etc. That will create a very interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary environment for the people to network with. Thirdly, I think this conference has created a kind of very good network opportunities, particularly with plenary speakers. As one of plenary speakers, I experienced that so many people wanted to talk to me, and they asked about my university, my department, and my PhD programs, my students, and what we do in the Western universities in general. I enjoyed talking to them, and also they actually benefited from my association. I think having plenary speakers from prestigious world-class universities such as Glasgow is very good for the conference. And also this conference is, I know to my knowledge, connected to some prestigious journals, and conference participants have the opportunity to get their papers published in those prestigious international journals. I think that's a kind of motivation as well as kind of academic benefit that the students can actually exploit out of this conference. Besides these good things, I think still you have a room to improve your quality. One of the things I actually observed this morning as a conference session chair, that the papers or presentations quality is rather poor. Poor in the sense that actually they did not actually present the point to the point they wanted to make, teasing out what the central message of the paper and highlighting what the academic contribution they are making to the knowledge. It was rather unsuccessful, I think. In order to resolve this problem, perhaps in the future, you may give proper guidelines as to what kind of contents the presentation slides must include, what kind of aspects they must actually highlight, because they can't, given the time, limited time, they can't present the full paper. Instead, they may present the essence of the paper in the form of the central message and also in the form of key contribution. of the paper rather than presenting the full paper. To that extent, you need to give some exact guidelines for the presenters in terms of number of slides they have to present and the specific things they have to include in those slides. Secondly, I think in Europe, in all the conferences I'm attending, have discussants for each paper. So discussant's role is to read the paper earlier on and write a discussion note on the paper, critiquing and suggesting for improvements, etc., etc. And this, pre-written discussion report must be sent to the presenter in advance of the conference presentation. Then the presenter knows what the discussant is going to talk about at the session. So at the session, discussants presents the paper on behalf of the author. Then the author's role is to react to the discussant's comments and questions. I think this is time consuming and also expensive for you. Instead, at least, if you could identify one discussant who could come prepared reading the paper in advance, and that person can lead asking questions, making comments on the presenter's presentation before other people start asking questions. Because this commentator has the proper knowledge about the paper, because that is the only person who must have read the paper in advance. Therefore, infusion of such an idea to create a very healthy discussion in the session will be a very useful move into the future. And also this particular sort of discussant can evaluate the presenter's presentation rather than leaving the evaluation thing to the session chair, because I found that session chair is finding a kind of difficulty in filling the form in the midst of doing other things, introducing the author and making comments, etc., and managing time, etc., etc. It could be a kind of arduous task for the session chair to actually deal with the role of evaluation. I think the discussant, so-called discussant, could actually fill that gap. So in this sense, the quality of presentations, quality of work could be actually improved in the future. One last thing I think is that in this particular conference, I am sure that lots of presenters have a misconception about what counts research. Research is to make a contribution to a particular stream of academic debate, particular ongoing academic debate, particular current academic debate. And the researcher's role is to make a contribution either in the form of a kind of empirical contribution, or in the form of a theoretical contribution, or in the form of a methodological contribution, or in the form of a combination of all of these, rather than saying something as to what needs to be done in a particular company, in a particular industry, etc., etc. Researchers should not prescribe about what is good and what is bad. Researcher must not prescribe what to do by the government or company or industry or whatever. That is the policymaker's role. You should not actually do the policymaker's role by spending researchers' time. Researchers' role is to make a contribution to the advancement of knowledge that is being published in journal papers, not to actually make a kind of so-called unhealthy prescription for the policy improvement, etc., etc. That is beyond our roles. Thank you.